Indian Scott digging through the past. Crazy tales they uncover fast. History stranger than you think. They'll also talk about wieners in a blink. They'll talk about wieners in a blink. Oddball history.
I was watching a Bette Davis movie last night, and her horse got killed, and she was really sad about it.
Yeah.
And you're starting to feel bad for her. She's really evil, and you know this. Mm-hmm. You're starting to feel bad for her, and then she goes, "There isn't a man, woman, or child I wouldn't see dead at my feet for that horse." And you're like, all right.
A boom, boom, boom.
How?
Welcome to this week's episode of Oddball History. Bette Davis was a ruthless bitch.
She was
Yeah.
crazy. Crazy eyes killer. That woman. if you're a Curb fan,
Yeah.
that's who Bette Davis is.
But this week we're doing capital punishment.
Capital punishment, the lighter side of capital punishment.
Yes.
Because too often, capital punishment stuff is just kind of heavy, you know?
Yeah.
Documentaries about capital punishment.
Never fun.
Why can't there be a fun one of those?
Yeah. So
here we are.
here we are, which we're covering a series of executioners famously throughout history
Yeah.
that had interesting lives. and
Lots
it's
of
fun.
them. Yeah, they were famous. It was kind of amazing.
A lot of them were well known.
We know specifically who like the executioner in London was, dating back to like, I don't know.
A few hundred years.
Yeah, a long time.
And a lot of the times they were like socially ostracized because they were creepy people that murdered folks. So it was
Yeah.
never like a lauded position people were proud of.
Yeah, and sometimes they were hated for just being bad.
Yes.
They were just not talented.
And a
at their
lot of them
job.
were bad at it.
A lot of them were bad at
Yeah.
it. Look, everybody thinks it's easy to
Chop
swing
a head off.
an axe
You know?
and cut the head off of a lord in front of a seething throng
Yeah.
of. Is that a throng?
A throng.
Does
Did you
throng
watch
imply
have you watched
people?
Black Mirror?
Oh, I haven't yet. Not
The
the
new season
ones.
has one about thronglets
All right.
that build to become a throng. And
All right.
all right, well, you got to
I'm
check
into
that
that.
out. Yeah.
I'm into that.
The new season's the best one yet.
Sounds like the C Lab with the gloops.
Very similar.
Seems probably like the same.
Yeah.
Maybe a ripoff of the C
Could
Lab
be.
with the
We'll
gloops.
talk to the
Remember
Black Mirror
those-
people. They're thieves.
Do the things fart all the time?
They don't.
Oh,
It's not a direct
It might
rip-off.
be different.
Yeah.
It might be different then.
But before we get into it, we have a lot of audio listeners mostly. Just go
That's right.
get on YouTube and just like the video. You know?
Yeah.
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just make us
subscribe.
happy.
Hey, subscribe. Follow us on Instagram.
Yes.
All the platforms.
Smash the like button.
Smash that
Smash
motherfucking
it.
like button.
Fucking smash it, you piece of shit.
Smash that.
Hey, smash it.
Smash it hard.
All right, but before we get into the topic, let's do
You gotta
those.
smash that shit. No. Just keeps
Smash the
going.
Before we get into it, the top comments.
Comments of the week. Did you know Randy Macho Man Savage? That was not his voice. Like,
I
he was
100%
putting that
believe
on
that.
the
Yeah.
entire time. His brother pointed that out.
How
he was like,
hoarse do you think
kinda,
he was?
Oh, so hoarse.
So hoarse.
That was like when I found that out. I instantly thought of in X-Men when they ask Wolverine if it hurts when his claws come out, and he's like, every time. That's Macho Man doing the ooh yeah. See, I hurt my throat just then.
Yeah.
it's painful.
Scott, I don't want to break this to you.
As a
The
labor
Ultimate
of
Warrior also didn't talk like that.
Yeah, well, I believe that. I've heard his regular speaking voice because I've seen his problematic talks he gave at colleges.
Why were they problematic?
He was very anti-gay. He was very, and he was like, yeah, he was.
It's
not.
nice. It's nice when people don't disappoint.
He wasn't a good college speaker.
Like, hey, let's have this roided up idiot come and talk to us. Maybe he has something to say, and then he starts,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Oh, that's what I figured he'd say."
Let me phrase this correctly. Let me come down off my politically correct horse. that queers are as legitimate as heterosexuals.
How are they not?
That the anarchists, because queering doesn't make the world work. I got a guy here shooting a biography of my life. I would let go. Let's get him videotaping you hooking up, and let's wait 5 minutes and see if there's a baby.
But yeah, top comments.
Welcome to Oddball History, where we explore the quirkiest and most unexpected moments from the past. Today, we're diving into the world of execution jokes, where humor meets the gallows in unexpected ways. Imagine a prisoner about to be executed, only to find the hangman has run out of rope. His response? No noose is good news, I guess. This classic joke sets the stage for a series of clever escapes and unexpected punchlines. Picture 3 men facing a firing squad. The first yells avalanche, causing chaos and making his escape. The second, inspired, shouts earthquake and follows suit. The third, thinking he's cracked the code, confidently yells fire, only to meet an ironic end. Now, let's explore some top comments. Chaos reigns.
All right, our first one is from P. Bailey Comedy, friend of the show,
Old
Paxton.
What's up, Paxton?
As he says, this is about the Greg Giraldo clip. And he goes, from law school to cutting Dennis Leary down to size on live TV, truly hitting on both sides of the barrel. Which that was one of my favorite TV comedy moments.
A nonviolent way to solve the problem with the country that we hate that hates us has got weapons pointed at us? I don't think so.
No, you're right. Like Russia, for example, that big Russian war. There are things that there are approaches. You have to be strong about it, but there are approaches. There are economic benefits that we're giving them in order for them to stop developing their weapons. I mean, I heard recently they agreed to stop building nukes if American women agree to get their nails done at least twice a week. It's just something I read.
That's a good point. This guy writes so many jokes before the show, it's not even funny. It's unbelievable. He's got a pocket full of them.
Yeah. They're good ones.
No, I'm not saying they're not good. I'm just saying.
It was right there. That's kind of what we do here, Dennis. A little comedy writing.
Oh, boy. I'm not coming back.
You know what? You're the guy in school that did all the homework and then asked if there was any more that needed to be done.
Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. And if you had tried a little comedy writing, maybe your show would still be on the air.
And that reminded me of, you remember when Ford truck commercials were just Dennis Leary being like, hey, pal. Hey, pal, get a Ford F-150.
That was the height of Rescue Me fame.
Yeah. He was like, I play a firefighter on TV, pal. Get an F-150.
I haven't had a real job in 50 years, but for some reason I'm seen as Bruce Springsteen in the public eye.
Yeah.
Same with Bruce Springsteen.
He'd call you a cupcake.
Yeah, he would call you a cupcake.
Yeah, Bruce Springsteen, he was I think he had like one real job, and it wasn't like something he would sing about. I think that was the thing about Bruce Springsteen.
He was a seamstress. Counterintuitive.
He worked at Joann's Fabrics.
Yeah. But and then our next one is from Squatching Around.
I wish he had a song about working at Joann. Working down at the Joann's Fabrics. Just a thought, Bruce, if you listen, I'm not sure if you do. If you do, big fan. It's not called a speedball. It's called a fastball, by the way. But aside from that, you have had a sterling career, and we love you. You're welcome on anytime. We will get that third mic back in the mix.
Maybe.
If we can find it.
If we can find the third mic, we'll set it up.
Yeah.
Don't make promises we can't keep.
Yeah,
Scott.
sorry. I don't mean to overpromise. Sorry about that, boss.
But Squatching Around solved the puzzle that Lindsay was also curious about.
That's right.
The saction.
I was curious
what
about
is
that as
sack
well.
action? And it was, in fact, a joke we forgot we made.
Yes.
Where this was about when I was looking for a gag gift.
Yes.
Of a fleshlight that was a mouth that had a mustache on it.
Of course.
To send to someone.
Of course.
At a different fire department.
Yeah.
Good, clean fun.
Sure.
But then the only ones I could find were like $80. And the gayest one I could find was of a butthole, but it had balls on it. Hanging off the front.
Yeah, the butt balls combo.
The butt balls combo. And so this guy heard us talking about this and went, I'm into the podcast, boys.
Saction.
So we got Saction.
Yeah, shout out.
Squatching Around. Thank you for reminding us of the flesh sack.
Yeah, and thank you for your listenership and reminding us of that hilarious item.
And then back in the series, Nick Farm Welding. Oh, he invited us to his wedding.
Oh, yeah? When is
it? It's in July. It's in North Dakota.
Oh, damn.
So,
all right, that might be hard to get
Nick, very funny. Appreciate the offer.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to.
I don't think we're going to make it to the wedding, but we wish you and your missus a lovely nuptials. We'll send you a gift.
Hell yeah.
And enjoy it. But he did say This is about the small harmonica.
Yes.
When we said the obvious thing happened, implying that he was playing a tiny harmonica and then sucked it in and choked to death on it.
Yes.
And then Nick goes, fun fact, I assume the obvious thing was it ended up in his ass. He's like, I guess we have different definitions of obvious for small objects.
Yeah.
I figured he was trying to play it by farting and, well, in too deep to pull out now.
Yeah. That sounds like Nick knows like an emergency room nurse.
Yes.
Have you ever met an emergency room nurse and they just, like they love telling those stories. They'll be like, here's what we've found recently up guys' asses, and they can't take out a list.
My favorite was we ran on a guy that was real creepy, like in like the kind of Oak Lawn neighborhood area.
Okay.
But a lot of it's nice, but when you walk into certain houses and you can tell in an apartment, you're like, oh, meth's done here.
Yeah.
Like it just has a creepy vibe to it, very methy. And he had like abdominal pain and was being cagey, and I was newer on, so you're like, oh, like, well, have you eaten anything weird? You know, are you tender here? Is it appendicitis? Like you run through the gambit, and an older guy walks in and just goes, did you put something in your ass? And he sheepishly was just like, yeah. Like it took an experienced guy to identify this immediately. But then the best part of it was he was like in his 40s, like an older statesman, and his mom walks in, like an older lady, and she just looks at him and goes, Chris, again.
Oh my God. I thought you were going, wow.
My thing is,
she comes in with one of those grabbers.
She just has the tongs. All right, now let's get to work. We're not paying for an emergency room. My favorite thing about that is,
how did she know?
The relationship you have with your mother. I don't know about yours. And I don't really plan on losing anything in my ass.
Yeah.
But if I do put something in there, make sure it has a flared base, nice handle. Write that down, folks.
Safety.
Safety first.
Butt safety. That's what we're about.
Butt safety here at Oddball History.
It is Asshole Safety Month. Which, allow me to get serious for a moment.
Get your colonoscopies, everybody. They recommend them at 35 years old now, especially if you're in a high-risk category. So.
Yeah. Your anus looks after you. You look after your anus. That's what the Native Americans said, anyway.
That's why they ate them. They ate every part
of the buffalo.
Yes.
Including the anus.
Including the anus.
That was their calamari.
That was their calamari.
Yeah. It just went, my head went, I don't know. I don't know. It's just a shape thing. It's just a shape-based joke. Purely.
I think it's a texture, too. I think.
Sure.
Fried intestine would be similar.
I don't know if a buffalo anus would be as delicious as calamari.
Well, but then again, only one way to find out.
I've never had buffalo anus dipped in a rich marinara.
Yes.
And a gravy.
So we're doing sack action and butthole safety awareness. We are peak. We're oddball history right now, everybody.
We're gonna get so throttled by all
squatching around. We'll be entertained today.
Yeah, that's right.
Before we get into all the murder,
that's what it's all about. You dance with who brung you, and who brung us was butthole and diarrhea jokes.
Yes. Oh, and this was just an interesting one on the Adolf Sachs. All his crazy inventions.
Yeah, Gatling. Gatling facts.
Yes, this guy goes, LOL, dudes were built different back then. Richard Gatlin was a doctor who thought inventing a machine gun would lower casualties in war somehow. And then there was this guy, Borchardt, who made the first successful semi-auto pistol, but it was 6 pounds unloaded and 2 feet long.
So fucking funny.
And so the thing about Borchardt that I loved was he made this ridiculous pistol, but it was able to self-cycle rounds. Yeah. And so his assistant Luger, George Luger, of the Luger fame.
Sure.
Because the military was like, hey, this rules. You got to make it pistol sized, though. It's just a giant fucking, not a bad rifle, bad pistol. It was right in the middle.
And the guy's like, fuck you.
And he was literally like, no, it's perfect.
Yeah, how dare you?
He's like, well, we have a long list of complaints from people that have used it. And he was like, they're wrong.
Yeah.
But then so Luger made those changes and then took all the credit and fame afterward. So
yeah. Adaptability, folks.
You got to have it.
You got to have it.
Richard Gatlin, the Gatlin gun. I always called it Gatling. I thought he had.
It is Gatling.
Is it Gatling?
Yeah, I think the comment had dropped the G, but I think it is Gatling. Okay,
the Gatling gun. And so his premise was he was upset about how effective it was at killing people, because in his mind he was like, it's going to lower casualties in war because it will require fewer soldiers.
Yeah.
Which isn't how it panned out. It just was really better at murdering a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which I wonder if this is like hindsight. He feels guilty. And it's just like, didn't mean to do that, gang. My bad.
I don't know. There was a picture of Gatling. I mean, he had a really trustworthy face. So I think he was telling the truth.
Yeah.
No, I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, that is such a flawed premise.
Did he think?
He's
He was
like, so many soldiers are dying. I gotta create a bitchin' machine gun. I don't see
like in his head, it was, now that we have such a cool gun, it'll just be two dudes on each side.
Yeah,
with
just
Gatling
need one
guns
on each side,
like a champion in old Roman and Greek fights. It's just like, get your Gatling gun guy out. We'll see who wins. All right, you're the winner now.
Yeah, he did not consult with like any military.
He did not.
People.
So
I don't think.
We live and we learn.
But and interesting. He like developed a bunch of farming methods.
Really?
Yeah, he had like a way to sow rice that was really big, and then I forget some like a wheat drill that helped people plant wheat.
Hell yeah,
helped wheat crops a lot.
Which
who doesn't love wheat?
Like if you can make a Gatling gun, you can make all sorts of augers and things. You know?
Yeah. And he became a doctor. No, wait,
he was a doctor?
He was a doctor.
Yeah,
and then. He never practiced. He like kind of went to law school for the fun of it, and then and then never practiced, and was like, I like being an inventor.
Yeah,
interesting man.
Hell yeah, I like that.
It's a lot of schooling.
I feel like it's
maybe not back then.
Yeah, that was 6 months. That was like med school was like paramedic school.
They were like
3 weeks at a community college. Like see red, stop red.
Yeah,
go figure it out, kid. You got this.
Yeah,
don't wash your hands. That's gay.
We need to do an episode about that, because I think that was really true when that guy said everybody needs to wash their hands. And
what was it? He got laughed out.
Put the instruments
became everyone thought he was insane.
And they were like, how dare you insult us like this?
They're like, oh, there's secret microbes we can't see, you fucking lunatic.
Yeah, Joseph Lister.
Heresy.
Yeah.
Heresy.
You son of
the devil.
Where do you get off?
But enough about fun stuff about the Gatling gun. Let's get into capital punishment.
Capital punishment. The lighter side. The lighter side of capital punishment.
Capital punishment just made me giggle so much. I'm going to say it 6 more times.
Capital punishment. That's how Frank would say it.
Hell
Shout out a ring-a-ding-ding.
Ring-a-ding-ding.
That's what Frank would say.
Yeah, but
if he were here today.
If God rest his soul. Maybe he's banging some floozy up in heaven for everybody.
He definitely is.
Definitely is.
Several.
That's an option.
Probably several. Having big guys rough up his enemies up there.
Just goofing around.
That's right.
But our first one is Lady Betty of Ireland.
Lady Betty. Elizabeth Liz Sugru.
Yep.
A minor historical figure, as Jimmy pointed out.
Yeah, if you read about her, and at the beginning of everything, it just goes a minor historical character.
Which what like, the fuck, man?
We wrote the article. You dedicated time to writing the article.
Yeah,
just fucking let her be a historical character.
Yeah, how many people does a lady have to kill
to be a major
historical?
She wasn't a president, but it felt petty to be like a minor historical character.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, we get it. You're here reading this, probably doing some stupid podcast, or
that's right.
You're stoned and should be get off Wikipedia.
Yeah,
but here's Lady Betty.
Story of my life, really.
Yes, and her deal is she got arrested for killing maybe her son.
Yes, they believe her.
They believe it was her son.
The story goes it was her long lost son.
Yeah, who had run off because she was a bad lady.
Yeah.
And then she lived in squalor, was a recluse, but would rent out her room for like pennies.
Yep.
And there was a man that came in the night and he had nice stuff. And
she
before
like,
figuring it out, she murdered him to steal his stuff, figured out it was her son, and then went to jail. This is in the 1700s too.
In County Roscommon, Ireland.
Yeah.
Which I've been to, by the way.
No way.
Actually, yeah.
Was it cool?
I think
always
I've
wanted to go
actually
to
only
Ireland.
been through it. I was in Ruski, but that's right where Roscommon, County Roscommon, meets with 2 other counties.
Yeah.
So I think I might have went to the castle there.
Yeah.
I can't remember. It was a long time ago.
But Lady Betty became an executioner because she herself was set to be executed with,
That's right.
with 25 other people, which included sheep and cattle thieves and white boys.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know. White boys, also called levelers, were people that tore down the hedges and brick walls around formerly common land.
Oh yeah.
But if you
Sort
did
of
any
like
of
the
that,
fence cutters in Texas.
yeah, and they would just murder them.
Yeah, they would just hang them by the dozen,
Which I like
by the bushelful.
The bush, like there's 25 people, like bi-weekly, you're killing 30 people.
I love the just pick up basketball rules of executions in the 18th century, where they're like, "Our guy's out. Can any y'all
Yeah, the hangman was sick, and so Lady Betty, in exchange for hanging everybody, got to live.
She's like, "I'll fucking do it."
And by all
She's like,
accounts,
I like to imagine she's in the same cage with all these guys. She's like, I'll kill all these guys.
by all accounts, she like 3 or 4 people had declined the offer.
Which those guys had to be kicking themselves.
Oh,
Lady
boy.
Betty. Because
Yeah.
don't you think it was probably like they were all like, "No, we are one. We will all stand and die together. You can kill us, but we're not going to do it for you." And
Yeah.
then Lady Betty's like, "I'll do it for them."
In my imagination, that offer would be laid out, and there would be 25 people in that cage, and 25 hands go up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll kill everybody in here.
Yeah. And
Like, that's fine.
Also, what decorum to have a polite conversation. Which this is really a through line through the whole episode. Politeness.
Yes.
In executions.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was
People-
fucking over the top.
Totally makes sense of like, I don't want to murder people. If somebody does
Yeah.
want to murder people, that's a problem.
Yeah.
But a lot of these executioners were people that had murdered, and they were like, all right, well,
All right. Well, here's the deal.
yeah, if you just murder folks for us,
Yeah.
we'll let you live in a nice part of the prison.
By the 2 wrongs make a right law.
Yes.
You can kill a guy and get off. It's kind of like one in, one out from Arrested Development.
Yeah.
The way they do the army.
Yeah.
You just have to get another guy.
But yeah, Lady Betty hung all those people, and by all accounts was great at it and had a long and happy career.
Yeah, she was just damn good, you know. She had her opportunity and seized on it. She's like Mark Wahlberg in the movie Rockstar in that way, you know.
Exactly the same.
That lead singer job opened up. He was ready.
He's ready
All
for it.
Jennifer Aniston was not ready for the lifestyle change. Well, neither was Mark Wahlberg. Probably even less ready than Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah.
I don't want to relitigate that movie here. But the point is, Lady Betty was a fantastic
She was a fantastic executioner.
She killed so many people. She lived in the prison in the jail in Roscommon after killing all them. She just lived there and killed people and flogged people for them.
Yep, she was also the flogger. And her sentence got commuted, and she was let out, even just full on freedom, but died shortly after. So
Yeah, she needed to kill to live.
yeah,
She wasn't happy just being an old lady. No, but she I appreciated too that they note that she was not actually the first female executioner in Ireland. There was another woman who hanged 2 men, like 2 murderers in like 1782. And they don't note her name, but they do point out that the sheriff got yelled at by everyone for having a woman execution.
yeah, they're all for equality when it's the jobs you want.
It's funny what makes history.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like school shooters now. We got a couple ladies doing it. It's like, sure, they're worse at it, but
That's right.
you know, they're figuring it out. It's like the WNBA. It needs time to develop.
Sure. You know, that's
Do you not like that school shooting premise?
you're being so controversial.
Whoa.
Why would you say something so controversial yet so brave?
Sorry. Well, yet so brave. All right. We'll straighten it back up and just go. What's the deal with the Jews?
Liz,
They're up to something, huh? Nobody? All right.
good save.
Good save. Good save. So we're gonna. The next executioner is gonna be a deep dive into race relations in America. No, we're gonna do
Left turn.
Left turn. All right. William Marwood.
Oh yeah, William Marwood.
William Marwood cracked me up because he was a 54-year-old guy, had totally lived a life, and
He was
then
a cobbler.
he was a cobbler and a good cobbler at that. Just a
He'd fix
regular
your
man.
shoes.
Yeah. And at 54, he had an inkling, and he was like, "I think I'd like to kill somebody."
I'd like to send some people to hell.
And he just went and asked,
Yeah.
and the prison was like,
All right.
"Yeah, we'll let you kill somebody." All right, we're
Sure.
kind of looking for a guy.
Yeah. They're like, okay, you can do it, but only if you revolutionize the very art of hanging people. And he was like, fucking deal, bro.
Yeah.
And he invented the long drop method.
Which was pretty much hanging used to be unsuccessful a lot,
Yes.
where they would have equipment malfunctions or it would just choke them. And it was really off-putting.
Yeah, the drop was too short, so it wouldn't break their neck.
So it
as in
strangled
the
them
long
slowly
drop. It
over
just-
15, 20 minutes.
Yes, they would just be up there choking for.
If you had a real strong neck and it took too long, sometimes they'd be like, well, all right, you win this round.
Yeah. William Marwood was like, probably if we dropped him from a little higher up, we might not have to spend so much of our time every week watching men struggle to live in a vain effort and then ultimately die. We could watch them die immediately.
Yes.
Be it steak and ale within the half hour.
Yeah, at Salad Bar. God bless them.
God bless.
God bless.
There are no
Good
steak and
salad
ale.
bar.
Where have all the steak and ales gone?
But yeah, the long drop, you drop long enough to where the rope snaps and it breaks your neck, killing you instantly rather than the strangulation.
Somebody really should have thought of this before.
Yeah,
You would think
for sure.
William Marwood.
I wonder how cobbling, if he was just a cobbler the entire time, just daydreaming in his journal. Just
we find out all cobblers just spend their days
Have a murder
just
journal.
daydreaming about executing people.
Yes. What a fun little, like the monotony of a lot of people's jobs.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, right when you're about to retire, you're just like, hey, do you want to kill folks for 10 years?
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah,
It's like a Walmart.
give it a go.
It's like how a Walmart greeter job is now.
Yeah. You're just like, I just like to keep busy.
They're like, oh yeah, being an executioner has been so good for Grandpa.
It really gave him purpose again.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
After Grandma passed, he went through a real dark spell.
That's
and then
right.
Murdering people, it just really turned him around.
Yeah, hanging the condemned down at the
Yes.
down at the creepy jail downtown has really lifted its spirits.
He was so popular that he had a jingle at the time in like pop culture.
Hell yeah,
where-
that's how you know you made it.
That's how you
as
know
an
you made it.
executioner.
As if Ma killed Pa, who killed Pa? Marwood.
Not the best song I've ever heard.
I do like that it was just the 19th century Jim Adler.
Is it a patty cake?
Like,
It is kind of like Jim Adler.
If Ma killed Pa, who killed Pa? Marwood.
That's
you got to
right.
sing songy it,
Yeah,
you know? I
And
just
that-
like it. I'm Billy Marwood, the British hangman.
that's right. 1-800 Marwood.
Yes.
I hammer revolutionaries.
I love their Spanish.
I think that's who
we've
he
talked
was
about this
hammering.
like 9 times, but I love their Spanish commercials. They don't even try to do an accent.
Oh yeah.
Or he's like, I'm Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer. And he goes, soy Jim Adler, El Martillo Tejano. He's like, hell yeah.
That's hilarious. I don't.
Jim Adler's for the La Raza, you know? He's down
yeah.
for the cause.
Clearly he is.
Yeah, si se puede, Jim Adler. Si se puede. But who's the next one is John C. Woods.
Oh yeah, Johnny C. Woods, the
Yep.
old. he hanged the top 10 Nazi brass at Nuremberg.
Yes.
Turns out he was a bit of a rookie who lied.
He lied on his
just
resume
a little bit.
about being a hangman.
Yeah,
And it turned out it was all easily could be proven false.
Yeah, because he claimed it turned out to have been a hangman in both Texas and Oklahoma over a span of time when they had both switched to the electric chair.
Yes.
Like the last hanging in Oklahoma was when he was like 12 years old, and the last hanging in Texas was like 2 years before he was born.
Yeah. Where his deal was is he joined the Navy in 1929, got kicked out, and then worked a series of odd jobs. Got kicked out of like the civilian corps of engineers or something during the Great Depression. And then he was working part-time at a feed store when he got drafted into World War II.
Yeah.
And so they said he was making like $50 a month as like the private pay.
A feed store is kind of like being a hangman when you think about it.
How so? It's the exact opposite.
You got to lug around.
You're bringing nourishment.
Sacks of...
It's the cleanup after. You're lugging around a lot.
Yeah, probably. All right, that's all I got.
Thank
it's
you.
probably not very much. It's probably not very much like being a hangman at all.
But so
I was just being the devil's advocate.
They had
here.
the Pierponts, who were like the primary executioners in the European front during World War II.
Oh yeah, they were a whole family of executioners. Dad, his brother, and their son all executed.
Which they thought they would do the Nuremberg trials because they were already, the established operation.
Yeah.
But they needed more help because they started executing more people.
Yeah, they had a lot of executions to do.
And they wanted to get a guy from inside the army. And they're like, is there any guys with experience in executing people?
Yeah.
And John C. Woods just went.
He's like, I've hung thousands of people.
Yes.
I've hanged so many people, I can't even
Time Magazine gave him credit for like almost 400 over like a 15-year career.
Years.
And realistically, there's like 60 like that hard you can find data for over like a 2-year career because he never executed anybody, but it tripled his pay and he got off the front lines.
Sweet deal.
And was just hanging folks, which if you don't feel like dying, and you're an awful person.
Look, when you go from the front lines to a hangman, the war gets a lot easier. You're just pulling a lever,
Which I didn't realize.
You don't just have a lever.
His first 11...
The other guy's bound and blindfolded.
The first 11 hangings he did were U.S. soldiers.
Yeah.
And he was a U.S. soldier, which I didn't know. We
so
hung
many
a
executions.
lot of people.
Yeah.
Typically, it's not like for like cowardice. It was mostly like rape and murder were the two big ones.
Yeah.
And people were doing a lot of it.
Huge crimes. Yeah, wherever there were so many people and like troops in these places. Yeah.
I did hear a bad racial one. They said 72% of the hangings for rape were black men in the service, which you're like, whenever numbers get that high, there is a bad component to this.
Yep.
This is the Plano heroin crisis all over again. I forgot. There are some topics we struggle to make funny. That was not one we were trying to make funny. That's just a little aside.
Look, sometimes when you're studying history, you come upon a thing and you're just like, oh, damn, I didn't even realize this really sad thing was sad in this particular way.
Yeah,
it's sad in a whole different way I never even thought about before.
But his first 11 hangings of U.S. soldiers, he fucked them all up.
Yes,
he was very
bungled. He bungled them.
Yeah, they called him a bungler.
They did.
Because he would mess it up. He would cut the ropes too short to where they wouldn't drop long enough. He had him like
he had not perfected the long drop
to where they would bang their head on like the trap door.
Yes, the trap.
So everyone was watching it, just like Jesus Christ,
were
John,
violently smashing their faces against the trap door. It's kind of funny, but a little bit. There's like a slapstick element.
Yes.
And then apparently one of the times that one of the guys that he badly hanged is down there struggling, as you do when you don't do the long drop method and break the neck. And there's like a black curtain that covers up where they fall when the trap door goes. And so the guy's struggling and they can hear him like fighting and they can see the rope moving. And Woods walks back behind the curtain, and you just hear, and then the silence and the rope stops moving.
They said he probably went down there and pulled down on the guy real hard.
That's what they think he did.
Cinch
He just
down.
He was not doing a good job. These were not clean.
These were not clean.
That's not what you're supposed to do when you're an executioner is the thing.
Which that was his whole deal of not having the experience. And the army could have easily found this out. But
just that's one of those where like you could have disproved that if you had seen like the right like magazine article, you know. You're like, wait a minute, I don't think Oklahoma does hangings anymore. Actually, that sounds like it hasn't been. It's like the 1940s.
That's a good government situation though, where they needed a guy volunteered, and they just went, get in here, sailor. Like whatever.
Yeah.
Like we need a weird guy to kill people. And he's like, I'm ready.
I also love how it's like a real thing in the execution world to like, if a crime's serious, you do an older form of execution.
Yeah.
So like here, we're doing hangings, old timey, and then back in the time when hangings was the standard, if somebody did treason, they were like, "No, we got a battle axe, cut the head off,
Cut this guy's head off.
whatever it was. You got to go back a little because it's serious. It's serious, so we got to use some old shit.
Let him know you mean business.
That's right.
But he also messed up the actual Nuremberg hangings, where Time Magazine, what do they call them? Like the American bungler. They were everyone.
Damn, did they?
Yeah, they had a line about him being one who bungles.
Oh wow, I didn't know that part.
Because literally, there's like, and now it has like giant media attention because the war's over, the trials have happened, and then people are like watching these executions of high-ranking German officials, and they're bouncing their heads off of trapdoors. The long drop
apparently
wasn't long enough.
Very like violently too. I heard a nose came off, perhaps.
It would take everyone like 15 to 20 minutes to die because they were strangling, not getting their neck broken.
Yeah.
And so people, he was so bad that people were like, is this on purpose? And he's trying to torture these people in some way.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is a big thing. And I mean, throughout execution, the history of executioners, that's a big thing. Was he really bad or was he doing this on purpose? You never know. You never know for sure.
Which Woods announced his retirement from being an executioner 6 days after his wife found out about it.
He was like, John.
He just never told anybody what he did.
Yeah.
He was like, I'm serving in the army, fighting for this country.
That's right.
Just hanging dudes, you know?
Yeah.
So
that's a thing that comes up with Jack Ketch as well. It was Jack Ketch. Jack Ketch, we'll get into him later. But he's
you want to do him now?
The original. Fuck yeah. All right, let's just do him now.
Okay.
Y'all ready to hear about Jack Ketch?
Let's hear about Jack Ketch.
All right,
he's
the original bad executioner. All right, he's sort of the Babe Ruth of Unskilled English executioners, and in fact, after Jack Ketch's time, people would call executioners Jack Ketch, either as a catch-all term or to insult them.
Yeah,
it can be used kind of either way.
I do love that there's this whole culture of like executioners being bad.
Yes, there's a whole.
It's such an undesired job that people are like, I guess I'll give it a go. You know,
I'll give it a whirl.
Yeah, and then everyone yells at you for not being able to cut a dude's head off, and they're just like,
"Yeah,
where do you expect me to get good at this?"
Which is, it's like that old Rory Scovel Conan bit where he's like, "You think this is easy?" And they keep trading jobs. You know,
yeah.
There's like a person in the audience, and he eventually trades with Rory, and then like it ends up Conan is like the audience. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Look it up on YouTube, kids.
Rory
It's
Scovel.
important fucking history. But anyway, he was executing this guy, Lord Russell, once for treason. Lord Russell gives him a very generous tip, as they always do. And then the first blow of the axe is so off the mark, Russell is supposed to have looked up at Jack Ketch and said, "You dog, did I give you 10 guineas to treat me so inhumanely?" Do you know you're not a good executioner if your first blow, the guy's yelling at you about it?
When you try to cut a guy's head off and he's just calling you a bitch.
Yeah. So
what the fuck was that?
Yes. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
That is, you are a bad executioner, my friend. I can tell you
like
that right now.
Him paying him off to execute him quickly with like just the belief that maybe this guy's a psychopath and isn't just bad at this.
Yeah.
It's like, please do it quickly. Here's money.
Come on.
And he goes,
please be a skill issue.
I'll take your money, but I'm just bad at this.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try my best.
Exactly. It's like how like I used to drive for DoorDash, and it would be like I would love meeting people and bringing them food and making them happy. It was a very nice thing. I like driving, but then if they ever, a lot of time like the order would be fucked up, and we had no recourse. There was nothing I could do but just feel bad.
Yeah.
As I drove away. They would be like, all this is wrong. And I would be like, ooh.
Well,
damn.
I'm going
they seem
go
really
ahead and
nice
skedaddle.
too. Shit. But that's between them and the restaurant, you know?
Yes.
But anyway, they said, on that occasion, Ketch wielded the instrument of death either with such sadistically nuanced skill or with such a lack of simple dexterity, nobody could tell which, that the victim suffered horrifically under blow after blow, each excruciating but not in itself lethal. Even among the bloodthirsty throngs, hey, there's throngs again, that habitually attended English beheadings, the gory and agonizing display had created such outrage that Ketch felt moved to write and publish a pamphlet titled Apology, in which he excused his performance.
I do like that the apology tour is a thing, is an old thing, you know?
And not only that, but in the pamphlet, he was like, the guy didn't put himself against the block right, by the way. That's why I fucked up.
Yes.
But so then a little later on, his other biggest hit is he was executing the first, what was it? The James Scott, the first Duke of Monmouth.
Ooh.
So he gives Jack Ketch some gold and says, bid the fellow to do his office better than to the late Lord Russell. He's like, hey, please don't fuck this up like you did with Lord Russell just recently. And then
guess what he did?
He fucked it up. He fucked it up. We all know Jack Ketch.
Yeah.
5 hacks it took. 5 hacks.
Dang.
That's not, that's not good. Are you sharpening your axe? Like, how is this even possible? And then the 5 hacks so incensed the people that had he not been guarded, they would have torn him to pieces. They're going to kill this guy. He dies in 1686. And look, you'll see. John C. Woods is just current, like modern Jack Ketch.
Yeah.
Dies in 1686, and his wife supposedly said that any bungler might put a man to death, but that her husband only knew how to make a gentleman die sweetly. Which is like, so he just never talked. He just lied to her the entire.
Hey, how'd work go, babe? Like, went great. Everything went smoothly. I'm great at this.
He's running. He's sprinting home just in front of a mob every day, slamming the door behind him just as a bunch of rocks hit the outside of her house. And she's like, how'd the execution go? And he's
Another
like,
day of the mines, babe.
Good. It was good.
Yeah.
It was a good execution.
Yep.
Another flawless.
Nothing wrong
One
here.
swinger. She's like, wow, you're really good. And he's like,
yeah, babe.
I am.
I don't like to brag, but
please never go outside.
Yes. Jack Ketch.
Jack Ketch. And then
which our last executioner is my favorite incompetent one, John Thrift.
Yes.
He was the Tower of London in the 18th century.
Yeah.
They always had a primary executioner, and it was John Thrift.
Yeah, John Thrift is kind of the successor to Jack Ketch, ultimately.
Yeah.
Like he's like Jack Ketch walked, so John Thrift could run.
Where he was a convicted murderer that was set free if he worked for the government as the Axeman. And they say he was highly strung, unsure with the axe, and he cried a lot.
He cried all the time.
He cried all the time.
Not a good attribute for an executioner.
And he fainted at blood.
Yes.
Which the crying thing makes me sad because he is murdering people and clearly doesn't want to be murdering people.
Yeah, and you know what's fucked up too is I read he had a good 10 years as, again, the standard at this time was hanging. So he was a hanging executioner, and he was apparently a middle of the road, just fine hanging executioner. Yeah. But then the Jacobite uprising happens in 1845. I don't need to tell you all about that. To restore Bonnie Prince Charlie to the crown, to the throne, as we all know. I read that on Wikipedia
Failing
yesterday.
I read it was Jacobite like 3 times. It was like I should probably look up what Jacobite rebellion was.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
exact
I looked up white
same
boys.
Experience.
I got white boys in ancient Ireland.
We're fucking historians.
Yeah.
What does Gore Vidal do that we don't do? You know, I ask.
I can't tell.
But anyway, so 10 years. He's a fine hang. And then they're like, all right, these guys, though, are traitors, so we can't hang them. We got to chop their heads off with a giant old axe. And you got to do it in front of a giant crowd. And he can't. He's not cut out for this, you know? He likes hanging people in dank old jails, not cutting their heads off. And
so he does it in front of this
Talladega-esque crowds.
And infuriates everyone.
Yes.
Because they came, you think of public executions as being like a bloodthirsty thing.
Yep.
Which it is to a certain extent. But there's expectations from the crowd where after he's just hacking away at these guys, crying and fainting, he tries to quit and they have to like talk him back into it.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking nightmare.
I love that was the funniest thing. John Thrift was always being coached through his executions by the people he was executing. They're like, you got this, man.
Come on, man.
You can do this.
Like, get your shit together,
dude. I believe in you. You can do this. Now get up and chop my fucking head off.
Do it, you pussy.
Give him one of those encouraging punches in the shoulder, you know?
Yeah, this was the...
I think I could talk him.
The specific one was Lord Balmerino in the Tower of London.
That's right.
He got called to execute him and he fainted. And then he woke up sobbing and like this group of people had to be like, get up, dust the dirt off and go execute that guy. Yes.
And that was the second of the day, too. Kilmarnock was first.
Ooh.
And he actually...
Kilmarnock. It sounds like
it's all
an alien that's a bad guy.
Lord Kilmarnock.
Kilmarnock.
I don't know how you say it. I don't know why I just put an Irish accent on it there. But he actually kills Kilmarnock miraculously in one swing. This is like the only time that he did good. And then, this was funny to me, there's an intermission between Kilmarnock and Balmerino, and they come out and John Thrift changes his white shirt. He gets into a new white shirt, and they throw sawdust all over the blood and guts from the beheading, which I thought was funny that they treat it like vomit in elementary school.
That's a shitty call we make sometimes. Is when there's like bad wrecks or shootings and stuff and there's blood on the street. When you're first there and you're taking the person to the hospital, sometimes you just forget to you don't clean it up. You're worried about other stuff. And then they'll make you go back and just like clean the blood and guts off the street and stuff.
Oh no.
Like you'd think that'd be like a different job, but it's like, no, hey, y'all were there.
Yeah.
Clean up after yourselves.
And you're like, no.
And you're like, this is gross.
We don't want to.
So that's always like the newest guy. Whoever has the least time on.
You got to hose down the viscera.
Yeah, is the blood scrubber.
The blood scrubber. Oh, man. That honestly sounds not pleasant.
It is not.
I'll be honest with you. That sounds
Thank you for being honest with me.
Pleasant. Okay, so when they also, Lord Balmerino, when they brought him out, Thrift was like, oh, please forgive me. And Lord Balmerino, again, they're the executed in Europe in the past. They're the most polite motherfuckers of all time. Balmerino says, friend, you need not ask me to forgive you. And then he gives him 3 guineas and says he wishes he had more to give him, but that he can take his coat and waistcoat. He's like, you can have all my shit, honestly. You're my best friend, John Thrift. But yeah, so he's super nice to him, and it takes
5 blows.
5 fucking blows. I couldn't remember exactly how many it was.
It was 5.
5 blows.
Which it is supposed to take 1. 1 is whatever, the good clean cut, everyone cheers, we all move on.
Yes.
And then after 2, everyone's like, oh my God.
Yeah. He, horrible job. People are mad at him.
He had a 17-year career, and he was hated by the public for his clumsiness.
Yeah.
Like, he was actually disliked. So much so that when he died in 1752, a mob pelted his coffin and his pallbearers with stones and dead cats.
Yeah, all right.
Which I don't know where this tub full of dead cats is coming from for ammo, but
yeah,
bad day to be a stray cat in London on John Thrift's funeral.
I don't know this for sure, but I feel like at that time in London, there were probably just heaps of dead cats in the streets.
Yes, just
That's a thing I imagine
Yeah.
probably was in London at the time.
There just happened to be. If there were tomatoes there that day, he would have thrown tomatoes at him. But there,
But there were
the heap was cats today.
The heap was cats.
Yeah.
And
It's like, what's the soup of the day? You don't get to pick what the heap of the day is.
Exactly. Yeah, they I can't believe that they really pelted the shit out of him. His whole life was very violent, they said. John Thrift. One time a bunch of Irishmen attacked him near his house at Drury Lane, and he fought them off and killed one of them. He got put in jail, but then eventually they were like, we need hangmen. You can get out of jail if you continue to hang or execute, whatever the case may be. And he was like, got it.
Yeah.
But then he was a pariah. Everyone called him Jack Ketch.
Yeah.
I don't know, to his face. I was gonna say to his face, and then I was like, I don't know. They said it to his face.
You just got catched.
You just got catched.
Yeah. The bungler of all bunglers.
You're bad, John Thrift. You're bad at your job.
Here's a random one. This was not really about an executioner specifically. Like before hanging was popular, like you'd cut a guy's head off, you'd hang him, quartering. There was a lot of terrible ways to do it. But one of the most popular was just good old-fashioned strangulation. Like no rope, just a guy's hands.
Just a little elbow grease.
And there was a fun thing we've gotten jaded now by this. Sorry. Fun fact. There was in Constantinople, Sufi car was
Istanbul, not
the
Constantinople. That was Istanbul, not Constantinople. Look, I'm sorry. That's nobody's business but the Turks.
Zulfikar was the executioner of Mahomet IV and is said to have strangled 5,000 people over a 5-year period.
Damn.
So he's just...
I bet he had forearms like a
oh
motherfucker,
my God. Just
dude.
imagine the hands on this guy.
That guy.
5,000 people he strangled.
That's incredible. That's a lot of people.
And then there was Tiberius in ancient Rome. This was
Tiberius.
Another dark moment in history.
Oh, Tiberius.
The preferred method of then was also strangulation. But
Jimmy, what about, it's not legal at that time in ancient Rome to strangle a virgin. So what would they do if
they needed to kill a couple virgins, and for some reason there was a special law that you can't strangle a virgin.
Yeah.
And Tiberius was like, well, we're not going to break this law.
We're not, yeah.
So they made them not virgins.
Yeah, so they defiled them.
They defiled them so that they could strangle them.
Tiberius, your ass is fucking...
What a loophole, though. I always
You're a
love
real
when
piece of
people
work,
like
Tiberius.
go by the letter of the law at weird times when you're like, you're already just murdering folks.
Yeah.
You just murder them.
Like, it's important we be orderly about this.
Yeah. We have culture
Yeah.
for a reason. All right. We're not going to just be killing willy-nilly.
Although we did kill willy-nilly.
Rest in peace, Willie.
We had to defile him first. He was a virgin.
He was a virgin as well. But that ends our executioner talk.
The lighter side of execution.
Yeah.
Hey, here's a bonus one. All right, the two people who survived all the hangings apiece. The second guy of those, Joseph Samuel. So there was John Babacombe Lee.
Yeah.
The English guy.
And Joseph Samuels, who they survived 3 hangings apiece.
They survived 3 hangings apiece. Joseph Samuel, all right, sounds hilarious. There was a huge crowd, and the way they were hanging these people is they had them in a cart. Apparently, this was pretty common, and then the horse would walk the cart away, and then they would be hanged. So, like, they just walk the platform out from under him. So this guy, they send the horse on the first guy that he's executed with, and the guy hangs, and he's dying slowly, choking to death because they didn't use the long drop method.
Thank you, Marwood.
This is just a long ad for the long drop, drop method. But so the second guy, Joseph Samuel, horse walks out, rope breaks, he falls, breaks his ankle. The hops back up and then passes out. And then they're like, all right, we got to redo this. They load him back on the cart, walk the horse out. This time the noose slips from his neck. And then the third time they walk the thing out, the rope breaks. And at this time he does like a little tuck and roll to protect his sprained ankle now. And the crowd now, after the second one, they're going crazy. After the third one, it's like fucking...
This guy's the mayor now.
Yeah, this guy, he's our new god.
Yeah.
We love him so much. They're like the Tool Time audience when Heidi's wearing one of her little outfits, you know, in the beginning of the show. They're so live.
Amped up.
And so the policeman kind of watching over things is like, I got to go get the governor, let him know about this. So the governor comes, and the governor inspects the ropes and sees they weren't cut and was like, well, God clearly wants this guy to live. So he's good to go.
Yeah.
They have the town doctor check out his ankle, and
it's on his way. I love bloodthirsty Western justice still had like a, all right, our bad, dude.
Fair's fair.
Fair's fair. Get out of here.
Look, we really wanted to see you die when we got here today, but we have changed our minds.
It's like we have spent all day trying to kill you. Frankly, you win, okay?
And we respect the hell out of that. It's
a good time.
It is a good time.
I got into an argument with a robot again.
Oh no!
The Taco Bell by me has an AI ordering assistant where you're not talking to the person inside.
Have you seen these? A Taco Bell like this.
I had a nice pregnant lady make me feel like an idiot. Where so I order all the stuff and then I'm like, okay, that's it. Is the order on the screen correct? And I go, yes. And they go, what size Baja Blast would you like? And I was like, no Baja Blast. Like this, just whatever's on the screen, and they're like, a large Baja Blast. Like the Seinfeld episode, just infuriating me.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there like arguing, like, hey, no Baja Blast. And then the lady comes like overrides it and comes over and it's like, hey, you can just pull up to the window. And I pull around and she's a pregnant lady. And I was like, sorry, I yelled at your robot.
Sorry, I yelled at the robot.
She's like, it happens all the time.
Yeah.
Trying to sneak a Baja Blast on me.
Yeah, what the fuck?
That's
so
AI's not taking over anytime soon.
Yeah. Look, I expect robots to try to kill me, but not upsell me.
Yes.
At Taco Bell, all right? There are no movies I've seen where that happens.
No. We were talking about this earlier slightly I consider myself like, we don't talk about politics much. I'm in the center, go both ways on things, but probably lean a little more right, like blue collar job in a red state.
Opposite.
Yeah, but I was laughing about like sometimes you don't like being on the team you're on.
Sure.
When you feel like when somebody makes a point you agree with, but that person's just a fucking idiot.
Yeah, the worst person just made a great point.
You're just like, fucking hey, like I'm on the same team as this lunatic. I was at a restaurant the other day and I saw a guy that had a Remember Benghazi t-shirt on.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't think this was an Alamo level event that we need to remember.
No.
I was like, where do you even buy a Remember Benghazi t-shirt?
There's so many online, I bet.
A lot of QAnon stores.
I bet there is no shortage of choice and font and color.
Yes.
And cut. I bet you could get.
Let's see how many Remember Benghazi t-shirts we can get.
Remember when Charlie Daniels tweeted Benghazi ain't going away? Was that it? Am I
Remember Benghazi shirt.
I do think that was Charlie Daniels, though.
Oh, yeah. You can have your pick of
and do you remember
styles and shapes. And Remember Benghazi lies. Hillary Clinton. Yeah, okay. All right. Well, there's plenty of options, everybody. Yep. All right. My bad.
We got to put out some merch. There's so much. I feel like we need to get in that game,
Yeah.
We got to sell some shit.
Just Benghazi related or?
Yeah. Of course. No. No, just regular merch.
Just pick
non-crackpot stuff.
I say we do niche hot topic issues online and just heavily focus the marketing to those people.
Yeah.
Like we get some flat earth stuff. We get some new Egyptian pyramid stuff going,
Yeah.
The Nephilim. We cover all the bases.
I'm into that.
We sell Bigfoot shirts.
Yeah, that sounds. I was thinking it's really funny. I listen to this old radio show, Suspense. Sometimes I don't know if I've ever told you about it. This old radio show is from like the 40s to the 60s. But there's a character who's like the host, and he's called the Man in Black.
Yeah.
But he does like all the. He's presented as like kind of a scary guy, but he does all the ad reads. So it's always funny. He's like, "This is the Man in Black for Roma Wines."
For Roma wine.
Tonight, Desi Arnaz. And I was like, all right, this isn't that scary anymore.
Yeah.
Man in Black.
Whenever you do the ad read,
Yeah.
it really takes you out of the element, you know?
Roma Wines, though, they're all over Suspense.
How old is it actually?
It's like, I think they said it's from like
60s?
46 to 66 or 46 to.
I Love Lucy in the 50s?
Yeah.
It was? Okay.
Yeah, 50s. And yeah, I think just 50s, actually. I think by the time it was the 60s, she had another show.
Good.
We miss you, Lucy.
I love Lucy.
As always.
Yeah, you know.
She's a funny lady.
We had a
great show to fall asleep to, too.
You know, my wife, my father-in-law and mother-in-law, it's their first grandson. So you get to go through the, what's your grandma name going to be?
Oh, yeah.
Which historically, it's the child trying to say something that's cute. Like my mom, my brother's kid, couldn't say Nana. And so he says Yaya. So her grandma name's Yaya.
Nice.
And then my mother-in-law is
cute.
She's an attractive lady, respectfully.
All right.
And she wanted like a cool name. Like she was like, what about like Coco? And we're like, Coco? Like, my kid's grandma's not going to be a slut. What are we talking about? Coco? Like, are we in Miami now? Like, and so it's Gam Gam has been settled upon.
Gam Gam?
Because it became like a bit.
That was the opposite of Coco.
It became a bit of giving her the oldest one. Like a mama or like a Gam Gam.
No, the oldest is she should be called grandmother.
Grandmother. Yeah.
That's very old timey, I feel.
Old Gam Gam.
Yeah.
Which we've
Gam Gam's a good. That's fun.
I'm a fan of it.
That's fun to say.
Yeah, that was our and Grumpy for my father-in-law. That's fucking adorable. Gam Gam and Grumpy.
I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
So that's our big baby news. He's 8 months old now, and he's got Gam Gam, Grumpy, and Yaya.
Hell yeah.
Yep.
Killing it.
Doing his best. But yeah, you got any shows coming up or anything?
Oh, yeah, I do. Give me a second to look them up.
Okay. I'll do.
Oh, hey, did you notice in John Thrift that he lived on Drury Lane like the Muffin Man? Did we point that out?
I was curious. I was like, why is Drury Lane so familiar to me?
Yes.
And
I loved that bit in Shrek.
Yeah.
The first time I saw Shrek, when they were interrogating the Muffin Man.
Yeah. I don't remember Shrek that well.
How dare you, sir?
I'm sorry.
How dare you,
I remember the Muffin Man on Drury Lane. There we go.
All right. Yeah, April 24th, I'm doing a 325 at Hyenas Fort Worth. And May 8th, I'm doing a 325 at Hyenas Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, fuck yeah.
And then I have, I don't know. I'll plug those next time.
Yeah. We got a bunch of shows in October.
Yeah, we got a bunch of shows coming up, like started, yeah.
Yeah. But I am doing, I'll be at Big Laugh Comedy Club in Fort Worth, April 24th to the 26th. The 24th, I'm featuring for Des O'Neill, and then I'll be opening for Rocky Del Davis the rest of the weekend. I'll be at the Cowabunga Comedy Show in Plano on April 30th.
Hell yeah.
Then I'm headlining in San Antonio on May 10th, headlining in Tyler at Rose City May 22nd, and headlining in Terrell at Film Alley May 23rd. So check out JimmyNelsonComedy.com for all your ticketing needs.
Fuck yeah. I just got back from Rose City.
How was it?
I was there. I was opening
it
for
kicked so
Jenny
much
Zagrino
ass.
last weekend. Yeah, it was super fun.
Did she sell tickets?
Yeah.
Okay. Was it like sold out?
It
or
was
like
no, it was like Friday was like pretty good, and then Saturday was pretty. I don't know if there was like a straight up sellout, but Saturday was much fuller. But really good really a solid audience.
Yeah.
For every show.
So they're letting me do.
She is super funny.
They're letting me do a full weekend in September. So I'll do
nice.
2 shows Friday,
Nice,
2 shows
nice.
Saturday. Like, I was like, ooh, if I don't sell a lot of tickets,
Yeah.
the newness will have worn off of the club maybe a little bit.
Well, maybe you can get famous between now and then.
Maybe I'll get famous. Who knows?
In Lone Star 911,
Yes.
the firefighters are always becoming famous
For their
what they
Instagram.
do.
Their social media
Instagram.
posts about their saves.
Exactly.
I don't know how the HIPAA laws work on that.
Yeah, you got to just start live streaming your job all the time.
There is a fun tradition where if you ever end up on the news, you have to bring ice cream for the station.
Oh, that's a great tradition. What kind of ice cream?
You always do Bluebell.
Hell yeah.
My wife laughs about this because when you want to put a letter into a station, like go to a new crew, there's like, it's like an old school dating thing where you have to like, you're courting this station. And so you have to like, you bring like desserts and ice cream, and it's got to be Bluebell.
Yeah.
Usually a homemade vanilla, and then another fun one of the new flavors. They always got new flavors coming out.
Yeah.
And then you have to
I
go.
respect homemade vanilla always being present too.
Yes.
It's an elite ice cream.
It's a good ice cream. But you go there, and then you shake everyone's hand, introduce yourself, give them their gifts, state your intentions. I would like to come and work with you. And then they just like grill you for 30 minutes.
It's beautiful.
And they're just like, are you gay?
What if I brought
Wanna
ice
be?
cream?
It's a lot of stuff like that. Yeah. Yeah, you can
It sounds like a fun interview process.
It is a very fun interview process.
And then, but would they just, do you think if I pulled this off artfully enough, they might just never ask if I was a firefighter? If I just brought ice cream, I was like, I would like to work with you guys.
We had a guy that
If I got one of your shirts, can I borrow one of your shirts?
We had a guy that was with a thing called Box 4 that like comes in the auxiliary that brings drinks and snacks to like large events, like multi-alarms.
nice.
And especially in the summer, it kicks ass when it's fucking 100 degrees outside.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I bet that. Yeah.
But there was this guy, a retired Dallas cop, who won't say names because all this is very illegal, and it was in the 80s and 90s when he went through a real bad divorce, and so he just lived at one of the Dallas fire stations. So he knew a bunch. It was before the cop fireman thing used to be much more closer because we had phones. It was like pre-cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
You would have to go to the fire station, a city thing, to do your paperwork, make your calls. And then when computers first started, when they weren't laptops, the fire stations had the computer. So everyone would meet at the fire station to handle their business and paperwork.
Oh, very interesting.
So there was much more interaction, which now everyone's got a cell phone, laptop, and MDCs and stuff. So it's not really
People
a thing
don't
anymore.
talk anymore.
These goddamn kids. But so this guy run through a real bad divorce and moved into a fire station, and was supposed to be there for a week, get back on his feet. Ended up staying there for like 10 months, and he was a cop. So he was like a capable physical young man. Like, so he started subbing for people, which is like you can pay a guy to work your shift for you, and there's like, hey, you're gonna be here. Like,
Yeah.
I'll pay you. You want to work for me? So he like somehow cobbled together gear from the city of like finding stuff. And so like
That sounds like it could be a really funny movie.
and then like he would jump on boxes if he wasn't working but was there, and like a fire came in, he would run and jump on the engine. So for a guy that was never officially employed by the city of Dallas, he's made the most fires on an actual fire engine.
He's like one of those, like the chicken that was raised with ducks, so she swims with a duck. I was like, he was just around the firefight. That was beyond. That wasn't even voluntary. He just ran for the truck because everyone else was. That's what everyone
And he
does.
was like, yeah, come on in, man. I fucking love that story.
That's so funny.
Now we have too much computer stuff where you have to like
You can never live in a
name
fire
the name of
station.
the person that's covering your shift. You have to put it into the computer, and you can still do stuff off the books, but like just having a guy that doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, does he have gear? It's like, yeah, we found some.
Yeah.
Don't worry about him. He's a good hand.
He was their guy on the couch.
And everyone said he
In
ruled. He was
half-baked
like, yeah, he was a good hand.
Yeah. That's That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I'd be so proud if I wasn't a firefighter and then I started firefighting to the point that the firefighters were like, he's pretty good.
This guy's pretty good.
I'd be so proud.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me shit.
It depends on the job. There's a lot of thinking that goes on, but for like 2 or 3 of the jobs,
Very
it
Fred
is
DeMara.
It is just wet stuff on hot stuff and don't be a pussy. Or it's like it's going to be uncomfortable and you're going to get burned a little bit, but wet stuff on hot stuff, don't be a pussy.
Yeah. And you're going to be wet.
And if you can do that, boy, is that 90% of it.
Sky's the limit, baby.
Yeah.
You can go places.
You can go places. But yeah, do you got any final closing thoughts?
Yeah, I wanted to put out a mea culpa, another mea culpa of the week. I owe an apology to the Minions. All right. I'd never cared for the Minions and their antics.
Okay.
All right. But now I realized I just hadn't seen the movie Despicable Me. I saw the movie Despicable Me.
What a delight, these Minions.
Yeah, they like really saved the day. I was completely wrong about them.
Yeah.
They're good. They're good guys.
Well, there you go.
I love their antics.
Mea culpa of the week. Apologies to the Minions.
We love you, the Minions.
Yeah. Welcome aboard. But until next time, hail Satan.
Indian Scott digging through the past. Crazy tales they uncover fast. History stranger than you think. They'll also talk about wieners in a blink. They'll talk about wieners in a blink. Oddball history.